Quiet on set.
Roll camera.
Sound speed.
Mark, please. And action.
Welcome back to Students in Focus. I'm Katie, student producer at UEN TV. In this show, we focus on student work from all over the state of Utah. This week, we travel to the heart of Utah's rural communities where we'll get the opportunity to hear from student filmmakers who are part of the Voices of the West Apprenticeship Program powered by Spy Hop Productions. This program travels to rural regions of Utah for a week-long workshop. The student pieces featured today will tell us the stories of the remarkable individuals shaping their communities. Our first piece is by Omari, Andre, Orion, and Alan. They created a spotlight about Tyrell Holiday, who is a resident of Monument Valley and recently moved back from 4 years studying in Logan, Utah. Here's his story.
Hi, my name is Tyrell Holiday. I live here in Monument Valley, Utah for 10 years now. I recently moved back from Logan, Utah. I was going to school up there for about 4 years after I graduated here in Monument Valley High School. I work here at the Tepe and Isgay Community Center as a garden coordinator. I work with concrete, I work with fencings and construction. So I do construction. We've been constructing a tool shed for the community center and a garden shed. Right now we've got a grant from the community center made a partnership with USU, Utah State University. It's funny because I used to go to school there. Now they're like helping me back with constructing and giving me a job so far, and right now we're building a garden for the community for Native Americans around locally. With community, I started with I worked for Special Olympics Utah, and every Thursday and Friday we do a walk and run club. So people come out, walk a mile or 2 miles, the most. And Fridays we do Unified Fitness Club, which we do exercising, fun stuff. Bocce is one of the games we've been playing, dodgeball, basketball, and now I'm doing the community garden shed. Cultural significance. So in the Navajo culture, we usually teach the younger generation how to build and be a bit more individual, like making them know how to build, how to garden. Hopefully I could keep building houses for my community, and soon enough get my contractor license so then I can build off of the reservation. The most rewarding thing about my job is seeing buildings being built, being used by the community and the locals around here. There's many challenges on the work site. Safety is a really big issue on construction, which we take seriously. Learning how to do stuff. Safety. Advice for youth. I would say keep learning, ask more questions, and don't be too shy about things. Just learn out there and explore. Thank you very much for having me in this interview, and I want to say to the community, thank you very much for having me, and that's good.
Next is a community spotlight on Golding's Lodge, located in Monument Valley. Davida, Alexandria, Starlove, and Audrey put this piece together to highlight one of the local businesses in their community.
My name is Lena Parrish. I'm born from Monument Valley, Utah. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself in Navajo as well. So Yadz She'ez Lena Parrish Inisha, Betani Nishli Go Torichini Bashichi Nake Dina Dashiche Torichini Dashinella, which just means that, hi, my name is Selena. My mother's Betani and my father is Torichini. What I do for a living is that I work as a department supervisor / manager for Goulding Stagecoach Restaurant in Monument Valley, Utah. My primary responsibilities is overseeing my employees, making sure they come in on time, making sure they get work done throughout the day, making sure I look over the daily activity sheet, making sure we're on schedule, and calling group sales to make sure that we have everything that we need for the day. As in, we make sure we have all of our menus planned, all of our groups are taken care of, and set expectations on the service our guests would receive. As a company, Goulding does have a lot of community involvement by outreaching, especially with the schools. They have the Goulding Scholarship that they do at the local high school here. Personally, my community outreach is pretty low, but I do make an effort to help people when needed. If they ask me for help, I will do my best to help. Or if I see someone in need, I will do my best to help them. I believe there's cultural significance because I consider working here daily with tourists and foreigners that we are the face of the Navajo people to their guests that come here. Meaning that I get to share my thoughts, the history of the area. When I wear jewelry, it's a way for me to showcase the cultural arts that Navajo people do. Like my earrings, they're made by a local that sometimes guests will ask me, and it's an opportunity to talk with foreign people about what the culture is here. What I foresee in the future for my career is that hopefully we are able to streamline this, that it's not just one person overseeing everything, that we get to a point where the work doesn't need to be done because it's already being done by the group as a collective, and that everyone can take that one step forward to work together to get the job done. The most rewarding part of my job is those days when everything runs very, very smoothly. All my plans fall into place and all teamwork with other people falls into place. Everyone does their part and everything goes to the way it was planned, on schedule and on time. Challenges are dealing with conflicts with employees, tourists, our escorts. We're all looking for what's best for ourselves, that we forget to consider what's best for others. Entering any workforce, I believe it's best to think about what's best for yourself, but don't forget that you are also working with other people and to keep them within your considerations.
Outside your job?
What I usually do is I like fixing up the house we live in. So the house we currently live in is about 30 years old. That whenever I have time, I like to go to town, buy tiling, fix the roof, just keep that house maintained, and it does take a lot of my time. I also read a lot of manga, manhwa. I like to read, watch TV shows on Netflix. A book that I'm reading right now is called Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's like one of those light novels that get translated from Japanese into English, and it's on its like 20th novel right now. I've been reading it since like 2015. I think my favorite thing about the book is that she gets transported to this like medieval time, and that it's just her, and she like has the current knowledge of today's age, but she tries to bring it back then. But this is before books were readily available, so she has to create paper, a printing press, her own ink, and everything just to make one book so she can read it. Meaning there's no stories yet. She has to write down what everyone tells her as a story and make her own books. Her goal is to make her own giant library, meaning that she has to create a whole printing press, like manufacturing company, because she can't just print one book from one machine, right? She needs 100 machines to print 100 books a year.
What books would be in your library?
I would say I would keep a lot of botany books and books about this area, because I feel like a lot of Navajo culture isn't recorded like on books. It's all verbally told, which would be nice to have. If it's information I want to know about this area, I would tell him to go to the high school, because we used to have this old principal. His name was Mr. Seltzer. He handmade these books, like botany books, about this area. And there's like drawing journals that he has in the high school library. And the high school library also keeps books whenever one of the graduates like publishes a book. The high school will take that book and put it in the library. It's just a cool way to read about the area too. And it also like collects books about this area because, you know, it's a high school in the middle of Monument Valley.
Hello, Yat A, I'm Brenda Bial. She A Brenda Bialin Shia, Ashihan Slokia Ani Bashichin, Tuochane Edashiche, Tuoche Dlini Edashanale. In Navajo, I just said I'm born into the Salt Clan and born for the Towering House people. I'm here with my fellow educator, Callie Phlox.
Hi, Brenda. I love how your traditional introduction identifies your ancestral connections.
Thanks, Callie. Kinship, or K'eh, is a way of life for the Diné or Navajo. Our clans define who we are and build relationships.
You've taught me a lot about the 5 tribal groups and the 8 sovereign nations in Utah, and we've been teaching that in schools across the state. Students are often interested to learn that sovereign means having the authority to be your own government.
Tribal governments are unique. Whether it's a large tribal nation or a smaller band, each exercises its sovereignty by choosing its own leaders and laws to govern its land and people.
To help me remember the names of the 5 tribal groups in Utah, I came up with the acronym SUNG-P. S is for Shoshone, U is for Ute, N is for Navajo, G is for Goshute, and P for Paiute.
Here is another way to also remember the 8 sovereign nations of Utah. Take your hand with the palm facing out so you're looking at the back of your hand. Now, if you think of your hand as a map of Utah, your thumb can remind you that the Navajo Nation is in the southeast. Your pinky is in the north. That represents the northwestern band of Shoshone Nation.
The 3 fingers in the middle represent 6 more tribal nations in Utah. Your next finger down represents the Confederated Tribes of Goshute Reservation and the Skull Valley Band of the Goshute. This finger can remind you of the Ute Indian tribe of the Uinta and Ouray Reservation, which is located in the east central region of Utah, and the Ute Mountain Ute tribe, which is located in the southeast.
Your pointer finger is the Paiute Indian tribe of Utah and the San Juan Southern Paiute tribe.
And that's how we remember the names of the 8 Native American sovereign nations of Utah.
To learn more about the indigenous people in Utah, visit uen.org/American Indian.
Up next is another parody, How to Find and Drink Water by Levi, Nikea, and Kiehi. This skit humorously complicates the task of staying hydrated.
Are you stranded and in need of water? Well, I got the answer for you. First, you'll need to find a water bottle. There should be one near you. Now that you've found a water bottle, you're good to go. Oh, you don't know how to drink water? Well, I got the answer for you. First, unscrew the cap. Unscrew the cap. You're not a caveman, unscrew the cap. Now that you've unscrewed the cap, drink it very dramatically. You are in a film. Good job, see you next time.
We're looking for student-produced films and videos to feature on TV. Learn more at uen.org/studentsinfocus to have your media considered for an upcoming episode of Students in Focus. We wrap up today's episode with a piece titled Into the Life of Gary Holiday. This piece was also produced by Levi, Nikaya, and Kiehi. Gary Holiday is a longtime resident of Monument Valley. He tells us about the beauty of the land as well as Navajo history. Here's his story.
My name's Gary Holiday. I'm from Monument Valley. I was actually originally born up this canyon right here, Old Jetto Canyon, in 1968. I attended this high school right here to the left called Monument Valley High School with just a little over 300 people, Navajo students in this school. My graduating class was very small. I graduated there in 1986. And I went to college. I never completed college, but my training actually was in the criminal justice area, and I came back to work for the Navajo Tribal Police Force. And I realized that working for the police force, I was going to be a very unhappy person because of what I was going to witness or what I was going to see throughout the years. And so I decided to become an artist, and about around that time I married my wife in Salt Lake City in Murray Park, and we eventually made our way down to the reservation, and we have resided in Monument Valley for me and my wife. I'm originally from here, but my wife and I've been back here for over about probably 35 years now. And so Monument Valley has been my playground since I was a child. I've wandered on top of some of these buttes and a lot of these mesas, exploring. The dynamics of the area is very contrasting. It's very unique, and Monument Valley and Mystery Valley hold the most amount of ancient Anasazi sites anywhere in the world, and because of that there are many artifacts to be found in the area. But the dynamics of the history is quite amazing. As far as ancient people, our people, Navajo people, we the Navajo people have resided in this area for thousands of years. And in relation, our connection to ancient people is actually through DNA has been found that we are directly related to the ancient people, the Anasazi people. And so our history in here goes back, as you would say, tens of thousands of years. Not so much like scientists believe 2,000 years ago when the Bering Strait existed, and they say the Apache tribes, which Navajo are part of the Apache tribes, came across the Bering Strait, but we've been here even before that. And our first connection, or basically our first introduction to European people, were the Spanish who first came after they conquered South America, Mexico. They began looking for gold and silver, slaves, and they wandered into Navajo territory in the 1500s. And so their first meeting with us was not genuinely nice. And so the first Navajo government was organized to fight a war against the Spanish. In Navajo, we call that Nat'ani Nez. That same government still exists today in our political process. But the interpretation of Nat'ani Nez is the leadership of the people. In our culture, we have a clan system. If you don't know your clan, you don't know your identity. It's very important to know who you are and what family you do come from, and what gifts and talents are given to you from ancient ancestors to this time and this place and even this modern time. And so in Navajo, she kachi ni esla shin bashashin kia ani shiche todaji ni shinaladate. I am born for the red running into the water people. Paternally, I come from the salt people. My grandfather on my mother's side are the Tower House people. My grandfather on my father's side are the Bitter Water people. So you have mainly four main clans passing down matriarchally through the moms and the Navajo Nation and the Navajo people do live what we would say a matriarchal society. The woman inherits the land, the wealth of the family. She inherits all the posterity, the children. And therefore, if she wishes even to divorce her husband, she can just put his shoe outside the traditional home, the hogan, and the man's supposed to walk away with just his shoe and his clothes on his back. And so our society is ancient. And talking about matriarchal, the earth is our mother of creation. And the way we say earth, our mother earth, is we say Na'asa. Copper Canyon is an extension a few miles west of Monument Valley, and I herded sheep as a child in Copper Canyon. In Navajo, we say Besha Ged is Copper Canyon, where copper was taken out of the earth, and there's an old mine there. But Copper Canyon has a wealth of knowledge, I think. And that's where I, as a child, got to climb rocks, herd sheep, herd horses, herd cattle. And so I would wander in the Copper Canyon, and I would even find ancient Anasazi relics. And so when the storms come in, it shifts the sand of this ancient area, and then it reveals parts of this ancient city and artifacts and relics that people used in ancient times. One of the really cool artifacts I found were these Anasazi people had taken these shark teeth fossils, and they drill holes in the side of these shark teeth, and they wore the shark teeth as necklaces. And so that's one of the relics I found in Copper Canyon. But it's one of the most, I think personally, is one of the most beautiful places and sacred places on this earth. And so in the rocks, we call Monument Valley Sebin Zizke in the Navajo term. where there are spaces upon the rock where the rock shines light and beauty, and that's the interpretation. Or the spaces we see in the sky that are beautiful between the rocks and the rocks that shine. And part of our culture is that we believe in a supreme being. We believe in a creator that created the universe, that created the galaxy, and create the earth and all the planets that reside within our solar system. And we are to live what we call the beauty way, which is to take all positive things within this world and to be able to incorporate a genuine balance that helps us to be able to be stable in our mind, our body, and our spirit. And so that balance is to perceive things all in a positive light, to see the happiness of the earth, to see the abundance of the grass, the trees, and also the resonation of the beauty of the land and what it provides for us, and to be able to respect that harmony and that balance and how our ecosystem and our spirituality works on this earth.
We want to say a special thank you to the students in the Voices of the West program. We are so grateful for the opportunity to showcase these students' films and celebrate American Indian voices on our show. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Students in Focus. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next episode. And you can check out past episodes at UEN Video. Hey, did I mention you can submit your films to be featured here on Students in Focus? Catch you later.